Okay, so I'm working on the P-38 today. I just got both ESCs installed. I just programmed the throttle range in the airplane. So one of the biggest challenges in getting this thing up and flying is that the center section of this model is very, very weak. So we have a carbon spar that comes through here that attaches to both wings, which the wing spar slides into, and it's attached here in the center. So this spar here has not been glued in very well. And I've seen on RC groups, there's a couple guys that put spars through the very top of the wing, even though it kind of messes up the look of the airplane. They try and, you know, paint it afterwards. But you can see here with the model here that it just, if I just flex it back and forth, you can see the movement between the spar and the foam here, and it's just not attached. So I think one of the things I'm going to do is pull this spar out, either hot glue or put some epoxy in there and push it back in, get it to glue in and actually adhere to this foam. Now, once again, this is not EPO foam. It is a standard kind of beer cooler style, older style foam before EPO came out. So here we go.
Here we are in the parking lot. It's a very special parking lot. And here we have the new plane, Flames. This is taxi test 1. There he is. The large bugger.
Need to oil those wheels. How you doing? Well, okay guys, so I finally finished the build on the P-38 by Eflite. Once again, this is a vintage model, so it's not made with a standard EPO foam, so it's less stiff. I think the engineering on a plane like this is not quite what it would be up to standards for today's standards as far as the construction and whatnot. There was a lot of really fun little quirks about this airplane. The one thing I have to say is that it is one of the finest molded airplanes I've ever seen. The scale detail is just amazing, including the paint job on these exhausts here and just the invasion stripes and just all the little detail lines are pretty amazing. One of the things I didn't think about when I was building this airplane is that because we have so many wires coming through this side here, we've got wires coming down into the boom here. We've got the ESC wires coming through and the aileron wires. It tends to bunch up in this little area right here where these outside covers are. So I'm having problems with these outside covers kind of sticking on. It has some double-sided, well, it has Velcro and double-sided cellophane tape, and they're not really kind of on there very well. So I might end up having to put some tape down here. Once you put the tape on, it's going to pull the paint off here as well. But I don't want these catching wind. So one of the things I might do is actually put some of the contact cement underneath here. It's the weldwood, which is what I use for gluing EPO foam together. And I am going to not run the drop tanks to start off with, just to see how the CG is. Now it seems like it's CGing just fine on the CG marks, which is just right about there. And it's really interesting, they do give you some clay in a little package. So in case you need to add some tail weight or some nose weight, it's this little clay that you can just mold into the pockets of wherever you need to put it into. So that's pretty interesting. Because there's so many wires that are all going to a central area, you really have to watch your cable management. There's a lot of cleanup that I could do in this airplane, but not only is there not a lot of room for the stacked wires to go down, but there's also not very much room for your 2200 3S battery pack. So if you take a look here, that battery pack, it just barely clears the spar boom that's right here. It's very hard to get the battery pack in there. That's why I have it in there and I haven't taken it out. But I actually had to take some of the foam away from this little bridge that's right here to allow these wires to actually sit all the way down. I may shorten some of these at some point or tuck them back into the wings or something like that. But that's just something that I'm going to have to deal with. Now I saw another poster, instead of having the ESC residing back here in the back part of the boom, they actually laid the ESC down in the lower part of the nacelle here, which actually looks like a pretty good idea because it's going to get a lot of airflow. It'll get airflow as it is, but it might be nice to locate them up from where they're getting actual airflow through there. And I think this model might need just a little bit of nose weight as well, but I understand that the CG is pretty accurate on this airplane. As you guys saw from earlier in the video, I did a layer of Minwax on this airplane. It really gives this airplane a nice sheen to it. It doesn't have that very kind of dull looking airplane look to it. So there's a couple spots where I need to touch up a little bit and put it a little bit thicker, but other than that, it looks pretty great. So one of the things I did is I did epoxy the two spars that were in the inside of the airframe here, and it did stiffen up the top of the airframe quite a bit. So I understand that this is not going to be a real Sportster airplane. I'm going to basically fly at scale. I'm not going to do too many aerobatics or super hard G-outs because I know that'll probably crack this wing right in half. But I did epoxy those spars in there, so it should be good to go. So guys, I did the rudder modification to the end of the rudders here, and you can see that just that little thin piece of foam right there is the only thing that's holding the top from the bottom. So I might end up throwing a carbon spar through there just to keep the rudders healthy back there, because any little touch of that rudder back there is going to break right there, that tiny thin little piece of foam. So guys, I am super psyched about this vintage P-38. I can't wait to get up into the air. So I should probably fly it tomorrow, which is Saturday morning, with my group flying that I do up here in Rancho Cucamonga. Wish me luck, and I hope my son is going to film me with my new camera setup here that I should be showing you guys pretty soon in a video. All right, I will talk to you guys on the next one. Thanks. Bye.